Hello everyone, I want to thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel, Entertainment TV. Behind me are a set of windows that need glazing, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Stick with me. Here's another close shot of what we're going to be working with. So I just want to give you guys a close shot of what we're going to be working with here. If you can see that we have the light flaking going on. And that's what I was talking about, getting off. And then kind of leaving this durable stuff here that can't really get off unless I really get in there and start chiseling at it. So the idea is just kind of wipe it up a little bit, get the surface clean. Just a little bit of light water. Very light. So basically just wringing out a rag until it's about dry, just so light enough just to clean the surface off. That will save me a little bit of time and material. We'll see how it goes the first time. If it doesn't really work out well, then we will completely remove it and give it, and then start right from the get-go, which I might decide to do. There is a few spots on some of these other windows in the house that look like that will be the case. We'll have to start all the way down to the surface, which will be the board or the wood itself. All right, guys, just want to give you a close-up here of what I was talking about with this light chipping. As you can see, it's ready to come off. But some of this other stuff here is pretty durable, which is if it's already on there and I can't get it off without having to really chisel on it, I'm thinking about just leaving it on there and just going over it with a light solution, water, and just getting the surface cleaned up just a little bit so that way it adheres to the base of this. I'll give it a shot and see how well it goes. And that may save me some time. But I'm also thinking about on some of these other windows, just starting all the way down to the wood because they're about there anyways. And I'll give you an example. Like this right here, that's about down to the surface, so I'm gonna clean that up and not go over the top of that. But stuff like this here, it is hard to get up, I might just decide to go over. We'll see how well it does. Because again, my goal here is just to get something done that is gonna hold up, that'll still be quality. Whether it's adhering to the board or the old putty, I don't think it's really gonna matter too much as long as whatever it's sticking to has got a good foundation. And that will inevitably save me some time, effort, and money, and still get a durable job afterwards without spending so much effort into it. We'll see how well it goes. So as you can see, I was getting some of that off with my finger, but now I got just a piece of paper towel, kind of thick, that is folded in a few times. And I'll just slide it up and down. Let it get some of this loose material, it'll catch the edge. We should not spend too much effort into getting this stuff off. Just ripping this up a little bit, so maybe a rag would be all right. I'm gonna have to clean this up anyway, so a rag of this. Rag will be better for the long term. But I just wanted to show you guys that even with a piece of paper towel, it's not hard to get off. How far would you go down? You know, you gotta get all the flaking off. So this is what I got this here for. About a 2-inch wide putty knife. Straight edge. You get in here and get some of this lighter stuff. Just take your time, just flake, get underneath the flakes. That flaked off pretty good, huh? Stay away from the window, face out. Don't scratch the window up, it's the name of the game. You're gonna wanna get all these big chunks off because as you can see, when I do go lay that new putty on, it's all gonna be sticking up. It'll look like crap. You know, I could try to sand that, but that'd just be a waste of time. You're just better off just removing it. Whatever's gonna come off will come off. The idea is to get a good foundation without having to beat ourselves at it too much. Again, you might want to be wearing gloves when you're doing this. I just kind of set my finger on the glass here. Not taking much effort, but just catching that edge and breaking it off. I like that there. If you get some chunks right there that don't want to come off, look, it's not going to be catastrophic if you leave it on there. It's not going to be that big of an issue because, again, as long as it's on there pretty well, it's not going to come off. Doing that. Alright, I can just the window. You're just trying to get that loose stuff off. I'm just running my blade at a slight curve, bending in on this. And I mean the old stuff. Trying to make sure I get as much as smoothness as I possibly can. Without getting too aggressive. Same with this side. And while you're standing here, you can get all. While you're standing here, you can get all the sides at the same time. So that way you're not moving around. I stand at this direction, so that way I can flake them off at this way. So that way they go over here onto the floor, not into my eyes. Nothing I can do about the dust, so I got this mask on. That's pretty good. That's not going to get any better than that. fall out. As soon as it gets the fresh glazing over, it'll just fall out again. So you're just gonna wanna remove all the light stuff, take your time. If it comes loose, get it out of there. Just get it out of there. You don't want that stuff in there anyway. So this is pretty good here. I'm gonna get some more of this loose stuff up. I'm gonna look for stuff I can break away a little more. So I'm liking that. It seems all to be pretty good there. Again, you're gonna want to check for this point and then the bottom point. Just make sure all that stuff is good before you go putting putty on there. Okay, well, I didn't mean for you guys to get a shot of my head here, so I'm gonna readjust. There we go. Well, it's a little too much. So, I got most of all of that. I think it's mostly good there. And I will clean all of this up. I'm gonna vacuum it off before I do any of that. Now this is the worst spot. I'll probably likely just remove all of that altogether. In fact, I will. Without chipping the glass. At this part right here, I can now don't run that edge into it, just the flat part is all you're doing. You don't want to dig into the wood or the glass. That's what needs to come out. Which in some cases might just be all of it. So we'll see what happens here. That's looking pretty good. Same thing all the way around. Don't dig into the windows. We got most of it now. That window's completely removed it, other than, well, that piece right there. Looks like that's so good. So we're almost there. If you can, try to get as much of that loose stuff off as possible. It looks like we're good all the way around here. Now I'm down here, I'm gonna scrutinize my edges. Just want to get the loose edge out, that's it. Don't pry next to those windows, whatever you do. We're on them too hard. And so we're there about, got all of our edges taken care of. All this loose stuff coming off. Hey guys, I want to welcome you back for segment number 2 here. This is going to be window glazing day. So I got this window prepped up. I'm going to go ahead and run a wet rag around the surface of everything that I planned on glazing to. If you got any loose material or crumbs from your scrape job afterwards, it's probably easier just to sweep it. Before brushing it, you're gonna get dust everywhere. Some cases, I guess, if you don't mind. Sorry guys, my dog's down here doing funny things. He's just a pup, German Shepherd, named Rex. Wanting to see what I'm doing here. But I just want to get all the kind of the inside corners of the cracks the best I can, because we want to make sure this stuff sticks to the surface and doesn't come up, so we're not having to do this again. We're having it break later on down the line. So this is old-fashioned window glazing. This has been in here for some years, and I can imagine over 70 years. Windows are in still pretty good shape. Things about a craftsman bungalow is a lot of woodworking in this house. Kind of one of the reasons that we decided to go ahead and restore these to the best of our ability, but still providing some modernism where it needs to be before we sell it, because we want to make sure it appeals to folks when it's ready to sell. From my experience, people don't really want to have to move in and we have to work on things. They want to move in and have stuff done. So getting something like this restored, this project will do a good for us and everyone else down the line. Now once you get all your tools out, if you got more windows to do, you just leave them out. You kind of just move along. And it should be, as each window you get to, it will be a little easier and easier for you as you progress. I'm just trying to get in these inside corners. And again, it's just helpful. My dog's being a little pain down here. But it would be helpful to just to have a little vacuum cleaner on hand, just to sweep them up so you're not having to spend as much time as I am on this. For the sake of brevity, it can be done without a vacuum cleaner. It'll take a few extra moments. All right, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. And then we'll want to let it dry before we go adhering anything to it and glazing. And I'm just trying to get all the surface cleaned on this old glazing and around the edges that I'll be glazing too, just so that way it has a good surface to adhere to the glazing and not to dust particles that'll just pull off from later. After the window gets shut a few times, then the cracking will start occurring, and then that will be not such a good thing. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And if you can see in there, it's all nice and clean. I'll show you the base here. That's all nice and clean as well. Now, it's already drying pretty quick. Wood is pretty old. All right. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and start window glazing here. After I wipe this down, I had me a really damp solution that I wringed out really well. I'm just gonna slightly go over it, just so I get it all cleaned off. Same with the wood. If you have any pieces of glazing missing from your job of scraping, and I'm just gonna do that all the way around. Grab some new material, clean material, as you're wiping, so that way you're not just smearing dirt all over the surface here. It would help too if you have any loose stuff to just vacuum it off or brush it off. If you have an issue with something like that, there's a couple of spots that I can grab here. Sweep off a little bit before I start wiping on it. Now I've decided to remove them like this purposes because these are pretty old. I don't know how hard they were going in. We'll just take it away the easiest way I can. And minimizing risk. Definitely don't want to lose those screws. Alright, welcome back guys. I want to show you on this segment is window glazing. I want to show you guys an easy way to do this. So here we go. We got our window glaze. I'm using Sarco. I'll put this at the below in the link for you guys, so that way you guys can have a link to the same product that I'm using here. This is $84 on Amazon. It's the only place I really could find it. Around my town, it's not available. So I got this stuff. It's working out great. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it here. So I got the Play-Doh in my hand, and I call it Play-Doh, but really Sarco glazing. But what you're gonna do is you just gotta roll yourself out a little piece, do it real quick, and then you're gonna get a couple of pieces that drop. And then you're gonna take those and you're gonna slide that into these corner crevices. Just push them in, push them in. And then if you need some more, fish it out. Takes a while for this stuff to dry, so it's not like it's gotta be done right away. But again, just roll yourself out just like you would if you were working with Play-Doh. Kind of like that there, and then you use yourself pieces. Throw them into the corners. I didn't remove all of the old glazing. It's in there pretty well. I just prepped the surface so that way the new glazing would adhere to the old glazing. I just wiped it down with a wet rag. And I just gotta just throw that stuff in there, toss it in there like this. Make sure you get it all in there. That's a lot more than what I need, but I still got a little bit of these other sides of these windows to get. So you're gonna be pushing all that stuff in there like that. And then we want to cake it up against the side the best we can. So I'm gonna suggest get yourself one of these. Putty knife. This is, I believe, a 4 or 5 inch. But the idea is we just want to take all of our start coat, press it up against the edge, like you see there. And then, there we go. Now we're ready to start the other part of the process, and that's smoothing it all out. And then for that, I'm going to use this other putty knife. I think it's a 2 inch, maybe 1.5 inch, 2 inch. Anyways, I'm going to start one corner. So I'll start on this corner here. I'm going to get myself a little bit of Play-Doh there. Darko, I'm sorry. Dip it in that water. That's all you need to do is just get it wet, you know. And then you gotta just run this edge all the way down along the side. The Starco will make its way out of your way. Whatever you have access to, you just throw it here on this to the side. That's just cut board and wrapped up in the tin foil for the purposes of keep things clean. Stuff doesn't really like to stick to tin foil. So, and again, same way, you're gonna grab a piece, it's gonna just pull up. The idea is get your piece a little wet, so it's not pulling up a whole lot. So again, you dip it in that water like that. And then you're gonna start wherever you finished. And then right here, you keep dragging it across all the way down to the bottom. Get rid of that excess. Just easier to use that right there. Roll it off onto your knife. Same there. Use that later on. And then we're gonna fine tune this real quick. Same way. I don't have any on there, but I'll just dip it in there. And then once I start getting some, again, get a little wet, turn on this side. Now it'll continue to try to pull it up. That's the name of the game here. But no worries. Get your knife a little more wet there. So keep doing it. You just keep starting off in the same area. Just keep repeating the same process you see me doing here. See, now I know that's pretty lathered up pretty nicely there. So what I'm going to do is start all the way back to the top. Same thing, every time you pull a piece, dip, drag it along. You get more of that piece, go ahead and dip it in. You don't need a whole bunch of big old piece, but make sure you get a good angle on that. It's all about the angle, so make sure you put a good angle on that thing. Your knife there. When I mean angle, just you make it at a very shallow pitch. All right. Same thing. Continue down. You get a little extra material that's you need to just fill it back in and just toss it in there. See, now we got most of this stuff out of the way, so now we got pretty much all the material we need there. You could have done that initially or spent the time putting it in there. That's entirely up to you. Well, I'm going to smooth this guy out. And it's about there. Sometimes, or I find for me anyways, it's easier to start from one side, and then once you get one side done, you just come back from the other side. And we are about there, folks. I see a couple of more spots that I can touch up real quick. You don't want to put too much on initially, or you're just patching in a little stuff here and there. It's about all you need is what you want to add. So, again, put a good flex on that knife of yours. Keep adding it where it needs to go. Alright guys, here is the next segment. We are going to start glazing. We're going to use Type N multi-glaze by Sarco. sealed, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm planning on doing this. I get about a handful out each time. I'm going to roll some pieces for the spots that are completely gone, and then just work in some smaller spots in other areas that are not so much the case. How much to add? Well, I just roll it up at about the thickness to the surface that you're wanting to stick it to. So in this case, about a 1/2 inch, so I just wanted to make it about a 1/2 inch thick. And just have your standard putty knife here. It's about as simple as that. And then just run it down a little bit at a time. Get as much of that excess off as you can. Put it on the edge here. I'm going to throw it back in with my pile. I just took a cotton board and I wrapped it with tin foil. Same with these other areas. I'm just going to start on the big spots first. Here's the stuff I'm using. $84 on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below so you know where to get that. Now you don't want to dig into the glass. It's not what you want to do. But just very carefully skim it. Get all that excess off. Well, I just do my finger with the corners there. And just make sure I got a straight edge as best I can, you know. And I just try to guesstimate about how much I'm gonna need. So I already rolled off. The stuff is pretty elastic, so you'll want to stretch on you pretty fast. But it's workable, and I like that. You just got to get it in there, and then once you do, then you just push it into about where you want it with your fingers. The idea is to lay all the material out with the glazing you need in the initial start. And you can kind of see how much that's going to be based on the thickness that you're laying next to the surface that you're trying to stick it to. And then I will go all the way down, and I'll probably stop to about that point there. So as I already know, I have a little bit here that I already put previously. So I'm just going to stretch it out just a little bit at a time. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm just pulling along, holding it with my one finger, and then just kind of just pulling along until I get as much as I need on. Extra, just go ahead and remove that as well. Now I'm just pushing along this straight edge surface here, this flat surface that's facing me. There's my guide. Just take an extra few moments just to make sure that you got about the right thickness. Now you could try to roll this whole thing out, which would be kind of a difficult process for me anyway. I'm gonna take my finger, push that into that spot there, in the corner. I'm gonna start on the bottom, and then I am just going to do a little bit at a time, see how much material I'll move along. So I'm just going at an angle using this as my edge, and about a couple of inches at a time, removing the excess as I go. Now I'll come back the other way since I had a piece broke off there. And I'll just put some more in there. I'm not scratching the window, just very lightly, using it as my guide. A couple of inches, remove some material. You're just removing material right now. You're not gonna go back through and do that number over again. You're just doing a little bit at a time until you get to that point. Right now we're just trying to get the same amount of material throughout the whole stretch of the window here. Get all that off. Peeling that extra off. If you can help it, don't smear it into your gloves, because as it dries, it gets more sticky. All right. That looks pretty good. I'm just gonna probably skim over it a little more just to smooth it out. How I do that is I don't dig the edge in it. You gotta put a lot of taper on your knife. Or my knife, I think it would be called. Now I do have another knife down here I can use. You can go like this, which might be an easier way for some of you. I'm going to just use this. Be very careful. If you're worried about it, just use that as your guide and bring it slowly down. And there we go. Same thing. Same thing here. I'm just kind of cleaning it up. before it dries and use as much material as I possibly can. Well, without leaving a whole lot of material left. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and continue on with the way we have been. Gotta give it to these people, these old timers back in the day. They had to have had a lot of patience for something like this. Now I am gonna go ahead and patch in this little thin area. And as you get a couple of these done, you're unfortunate to have more than a couple to do, then you'll start to get pretty good at it as well. Assuming that you take your time and see the different techniques at your disposal that you can use to get quicker at doing this as you progress window to window. Well, it doesn't need to be an insanely perfect job, but again, putting myself on craftsmanship, and this is a craftsman bungalow, so if you have that problem right there, that means you just gotta press that in there. And it helps if you just press it up against the edge initially. Again, it's those little techniques that will help the job get done easier without being such a pain. And a little more right here. That will help it, or help keep it from moving. I don't want to go back over the area I just did. So I'm going to continue on. Same angle, same pressure, same method. I want to welcome you to my channel, DIY channel. I'm a painter, carpenter. I've been doing this for about over a handful of years. I'm kind of a do-it-all type of person. I've had a lot of experiences doing a lot of different things, so I tend to figure out these things for myself. And so as a beginner, as someone who is a beginner, I'm going to show other beginners how to, I guess, begin the same process of trying to figure out things for themselves as well, whether save money, save time, or, you know, whether people just like to do things for themselves anyways. That's the stuff I'm using right there. You'll find that on Amazon. Stuff does a pretty good job overall. I've only done this, now, I only got about a few hours into this, kind of playing around with it. I don't have much experience doing this stuff other than just trying to figure it out as I go. Kind of a MacGyver type of guy. So here's the first room that we're going to be working on. This is the master bedroom. We just put in the master bathroom not too long ago, before I decided to start making these series. And here are the windows that we are working on currently. doing some window glazing, cleaning the insides of these window casings, as well as redoing the floors, taking off wallpaper off the ceiling, and I'm putting a wall up here. Here's the current window I'm working on. I haven't removed any of the glazing yet. I'm going to show you guys how I do that. Now I have a wet rag here, just damped. What I'm just cleaning off this surface, removing any of this loose stuff as I'm doing it. I'm using this kind of a rag here, so grab a hold of these loose pieces, the edges of them, kind of just pull them out. Kind of just doing two things at the same time here. Wiping and pulling loose stuff off, the loose glazing. So, welcome you all back to another one of my series here, and today we are going to glaze this window. I'm using multi-glaze Sarco Seal and Type N. I'm not by no means a professional at doing this stuff, at glazing. I had just figured it out on a couple of other windows, so I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing it. I decided to leave them standing up to help save me some time and effort. But in the end, you guys can all do it however you guys like to do it. What I'm going to do here is, first I'm going to start with putting in the putty where I don't have any glaze whatsoever. So, what I'm going to do is kind of roll that out like putty, Play-Doh. I'm just going to kind of shove it in there. Idea is just kind of press it up against that surface of that board there, so it sticks. Once you have accomplished that, then you got to pull it. I found these things were the trickiest to do, the corners here. They seem to be the harder parts to do with the window. Now I just try to hold it the same angle all the way through. If you push it too hard, it's just going to push all of that putty out of there. The glazing, I mean. Another part right up here. Horizontals, the verticals, I mean, are a little more difficult than the horizontals because I choose to keep the window on the hinges. But once you get it pushed into place, it's not terrible to work with. Kind of like gum a little bit. But once you get that stuck in there, then you just pull it with your finger. like I'm doing here. Assuming you're doing this and you're watching the video as I'm doing this, you would just pull it. Now what I'm going to do is leave some of this old glazing here because it's still intact. Once it gets painted, it's likely not going to be an issue ever again. Well, the reason this has occurred is not only that it's old, but hasn't been kept up on with the painting, leaving the windows open, not having the right type of, maybe if there was not enough air conditioning in here, or there wasn't an air conditioning heater, causes this crackling to occur. It's not really. Didn't really hold up very well. Some places better than others. I'm going to use that to my benefit. But once you get it in there, you just don't want to keep messing around with it. You just want to let it sit. Because that friction of pulling it around starts to dry it out. And it becomes even more of a pain to deal with. I have found. Just double check your work if you can while you're at it. It ain't coming out of there, so I'll leave that. Now, like I said, I haven't done a whole lot of this before, but after doing a couple of windows, caught on pretty quick. Right now it's just kind of moving along pretty fast for me. A little less headaches. I'm a relaxing process, really. Soothing. We work that around. Kind of like that. Now, I was talking about with some of this other glazing here that was already on there. I'll just take this and skin coat it, and this just going over some of these cracks, filling that crack in with some of this glazing. Like here, you can see these. You can see that. You can see those small gaps between the board and the glazing. What I'm going to do is go ahead and just shove that in there. And I just keep balling it up my fingertip and just shove it in there. Pull it down or up, however you prefer to do it. Until I get all of that gap filled in with this glazing. Now this is a Craftsman bungalow house, so we have decided to keep as much of it original as possible, but while adding a modern touch to it. We'll do a walk around the house in one of these videos, kind of go over what we plan on doing and some of the other things that we plan on adding in addition to what is already here, using cabinets, putting in a new bathroom, exciting stuff. You got pretty lucky because most of these have been rotted out throughout most of these windows. These are the first ones I think I've had that didn't seem to be rotted out or cracking or breaking. I do like this glazing. It's doing a pretty well job. Material itself seems to be pretty workable. It's not quite like gum, but almost. And so when I go to push it into these cracks, it tends to want to stay and want to come back out. So, and then making that so that way I can just spread it across that opening of that cavity. It just makes it so much easier. I really like that. Stuff's all right to work with. At first I was kind of skeptical about whether or not I was doing this correctly because it's not as easy as it looked. In the beginning it was a little difficult, but as I got used to it and got to know the putty or the glazing and what's capable of doing, so like the easy way, the best way of, I guess, spreading it so that way it's not clumping up and pulling it around in areas that I don't want, knowing when to leave it alone and not, you know, keep tampering with it. So basically what I'm doing here is the best way I have found to do it, standing up. It's just once you get it in there, do not mess around with it anymore. If it looks good, leave it. I'm kind of a perfectionist, a little bit of a perfectionist, so excuse me. I tend to try to do a really good job, and I'm also learning, so I try to learn what I can on the first one, so I'm better on perfected it by the time I do my second one. If that's making any sense. Right there. A little loose piece come out. That might happen. I just try to pull that around. You're gonna want to use gloves too for this stuff. This stuff is really sticky once it starts getting dry. It's terrible to get off the hands. I always need a bottle of, well, not a whole bottle of alcohol, but I got a few bottles of alcohol just for this project because it is so sticky. And I gotta wash my hands under that alcohol just to get this stuff off. I don't know what else would be good to use for getting this stuff off. I've tried soap, but if you guys know any other detergents or soaps or degreasers that would work, please leave that below. The link there, and other people can see that and help them in their process of glazing their windows too. So about destroyed my gloves. About time I switch over, unless I wanted to stuff all of my fingers. So I just went and bought a box of bluffs for this project pretty much. I knew the way I had been pulling this stuff around. And they're gonna tear very easy eventually. Some of this jagged edges. They're cracking on the surface here. Sliding my finger around, it's catching on some of these edges and it's tearing the gloves up. It's okay. I mean, I figured that would happen, or I figured at least I'd go through a few pairs. I bought a whole box anyway. But I'm going through a lot more than just a few pairs so far. And I've only done 4, 5, so this will be my 6th window. To date in this house so far. 2 for this bedroom. No wait, 3, 4 in this bedroom. And I will go through and we'll do a little walkthrough with these windows so I can show you guys my work. You guys can critique me and tell me what you think. And give you some advice if you guys want. Give you some props. Some of this lighter stuff that looks like kind of jagged up a little bit, be okay. I could always just take it straight edge, knock that stuff down later, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Those who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you how I do that. So I tend to, like I said, don't want to go back over those spots. I'm just kind of making sure that's nice and smoothed out a little bit. So that way it's already there. If you ever have an issue with it, you can always go back through and sand it out a little bit. Really light sandpaper to get that look you're looking for before painting it. So it's looking good. So far, so good. I'm going to how much of this stuff I got left. Take this party to the top. Yeah, not too bad. Go over the top of that. Just a little bit of a little skin coat there. Make it easier on me for painting anyway. Some of it probably could have been left and I could have just painted it, but it'll make it easier for me when I get to painting it, then I don't have to try to get into those little cracks and stuff. Kind of like lizard scaled a little bit. Going on here. Now, depending on how well the last guy did, you might decide just, well, it'd probably just be easier just to redo the whole thing. But whoever did this before me did a fairly well job, I feel. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just work off of his work. So I would say, for the most part, that's almost there. A lot of the stuff here, I don't know if you guys see it, it's just a little bit of extra. I can just grab that with the straight edge once that's dried out. Instead of manipulating it and taking a chance of ruining my work, I've already got it set out. Like that. Those corners are a little trickier to do. What I do is I just stick them down in there and I just use the same tip of my finger throughout the whole process so you can get that same look. If I get that same look, I mean. Assuming you're doing this with me, then yes, you get that same look too. But I feel like if anybody really, took their time at this and applied themselves, they could get it. They could probably do this by themselves. So that's why I'm making the videos, kind of show you that if I could do this with the window standing up, then I feel like anyone can do this. If I could do this, right? So this is part of my MacGyver type of personality. Trying to get stuff done. I appreciate the challenge though, having it vertical. So now I know how to get it done while it's on the hinges. In case I ever have to do this again. Or for the rest of the house at least. All right, now I'm just kind of smoothing it out. I'm not really going too hard at it, just smoothing it all out. I'm gonna get some more out and just kind of get these inside corners a little bit. Won't take much, just a little bit to get in there. It's good to go. Well, I just try to get the same uniform look best I can. If it looks good eyeballing it, then very likely nobody's gonna notice it. They're gonna think it looks nice too. So that's my philosophy on this. All right, so just looking around, see if there's anything else I could, if I need to get any more of this mud out for. It looks like my inside corners are good. A little hole there I can patch. Will I need to get more out? I don't know. I might have enough to do this here. All right, well, I am liking this so far, so good. There's gonna be a little bit of touch-up work here to do with my straight edge once it's all dried. But for the most part, I think it's visually it looks right. feel like it does. So this piece needs to be a little thicker. So yeah, I just kind of added that in. Hopefully you saw what I was doing there. It was so gentle with that. Those corners are tricky. You got to just kind of just manipulate the very top of the surface of that glazing or it'll overdo it. Or I will overdo it. Trying to get all these little micro cracks filled in so I don't allow any more of that moisture in there. I will be painting this, so that will also help keep that moisture out of here. So, I think I'm officially out of putty here. Looking back at this, it doesn't look bad. Of course, I'll clean up these windows, I'll wipe them all down, get any of this, whoever this person was that painted that before, I'll get all of that stuff off there so people will be able to see out this window the way they should. And this is painted shut, you guys can see, I don't know if you can see that, see the paint there, so I'll have to sand that down before I repaint. But in the end, it will look good. So whoever buys this house is gonna open this window up and they're gonna think, wow, someone really took some pride in their work. Now it's gonna look good. It's already starting to, without even being at the final stage. It's looking pretty good. All right. I had to go make me a coffee here. But I'm all right with that, guys. So there we go. There's one more window done. Again, I'll do a little more touch up here and there to get them all cleaned up, but looking good, huh? Hey everybody, I want to thank you for joining me again today. Hope you're all doing well at home. We're getting close to Christmas here, back here working in this room. Right now I'm working on removing the drywall paper from the ceiling. This is plaster that I'm working on, and not drywall paper. But I do see where they did decide to cover that with drywall paper. But I'm going to be able to mud that anyways to fix that, so that's bonus, and I'll show you guys how I did that when they get ready to do that. And then this here, I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing here. I got the steamer head out here. I'm using this here so that way I'm not having to hold it up. And I'm just going around moving this paper here. This is the glue that goes behind the wallpaper. And this is what holds the wallpaper to the surface it's being adhered to. It's really old, so it's the top layer of the wallpaper, so it's just the paper itself, not the glue, is chipping off. So now what I'm doing is going to remove that, exposing the glue itself, so that way I can heat it up and remove that with my straight edge here. I'm going to show you guys a little bit what I'm doing. And I find that straight edge to be most easier to use when removing this stuff. I got a 4-inch and I got a 6-inch. It doesn't really seem to make much of a difference. The 6-inch got a little more flexibility to it. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can't really get it off. It's one straight shot. I don't know if you guys can see that, but sometimes it's hard to get off with one straight shot. So I almost got to put some pressure on it at an angle, and then it will start to peel up, and then getting the rest of the blade under it as I'm peeling the one corner up. Kind of a little bit of finesse to it, but once you figure it out, pretty easy. And the reason I don't do this all at the same time is because it would take a good long time for this to heat up and to penetrate, that steam to penetrate, and actually to get to this glue, I'm going to have to remove this first. Now, this has also been painted, so it's really durable against moisture. I figure it'll probably take me, once I get really going at it, find my groove, about 3 hours to do this. I'll say another hour to remove the glue, and then to make some of the finer little, looks like a little imperfection. There's only a couple of cracks in the plaster itself, not a big deal. In my opinion, it would be a lot quicker doing it this way than putting brand new drywall paper up on the ceiling and then having to mud all the joints and everything. I could put this quarter round back on it, but then I still would have to mud everything, all my butt joints and everything, which isn't a problem, but some of these cracks here are even more minor than those butt joints. What we got here, this is old plaster, and this is not drywall paper that this is attached to. Says I'm starting off with peeling off the top layer first, because that's going to just flake off. Last thing I want to do is heat it up, and then it will re-adhere to the surface of the plaster, making it a lot more difficult to remove. So what I'm doing now is going to remove all this top layer off, exposing the glue paper, and I'm going to use this steamer head right here to remove all of that glue paper after I have removed the top layer of this old wallpaper. Wallpaper, yeah. So that will make things a lot easier for me, or I'll be out here scraping all day if I did it the other way. And then I'll have to try to get the drywall panels up here and go to the store and buy them. Take all this quarter round down. But also partly to make it interesting for you guys, some of you guys that do DIYs that don't want to go to the store, don't want to spend the extra money, I'd rather, put a little elbow grease in it and get it done. This is what you would do. Right over there. I'm gonna try my 4-incher. I feel like I can get a little more digging in it. Or, I mean, I don't know where that went, but I'm sure it's around here somewhere. I look at this, everything something a little smaller to get underneath something. Back down, start a new path. Some of the harder areas that are sticking, this little smaller. About a 2-inch there. Straight edge will do the trick to get that real sticky material off that surface. You don't want to dig into it like a chisel. So that is working out nicely. That will do the trick there. Yeah, I need my 4-inch. That will be about perfect. Okay, so I'm back here with my 4-inch blade. So this seems to have the right kind of flexibility that I need to really get this job done. So I would recommend going with a 4-inch blade. Get a quality one. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me for another day here, you guys. I hope you all are doing a great Hey everyone, welcome to the job site. I'm Chris. This is the project I'm working on today is removing the wallpaper from the ceiling. I got my 2 tools here. I'm going to show you how I do that. Right here we have plaster, and there's wallpaper on it. And over the wallpaper is paint. I'm not going through and using this because all that's going to do is re-adhere all of that wallpaper that is came loose over the years back to the surface, and making it harder for me to get off with my tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all the white first, and then I'm going to go back around with that steamer head and remove all of the brown paper that's left. It'll make it so easy for me to do that. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how I'm doing this. So without further ado, I got me a 4-inch, and it's be like about a 2-inch. So this right here I'm using to get off the really hard spots, kind of like chisels in, but you don't really want to chisel in, you just want to get the wallpaper off. You don't want to like tear into the surface, so there has to be repair done. So what I'm doing is just going at a nice slight angle just to catch that paper and then rip it off from the surface. Just like that. And then I'm going to do this whole room. As you see, I've already done some. Some places are easier than others. And you get around to the other side, like right here from this angle. Maybe not so easy. From this angle. A little easier, you know. Let me get some of it off. So you know, kind of work around and get most of this off as I possibly can before I use that, because like I said, it's going to re-adhere that to the surface. Really hard then. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start with my 4-inch. And if I can, I'm going to just try to get underneath that paper. Kind of like that. When you want to do this, you want to get yourself a pretty good quality blade, because you're going to want something that doesn't bend. Very easy, so a thicker gauge would be great, and then get yourself the same with a your standard putty knife, straight edge, and just kind of follow behind the one. See, like right here with this harder spot. Well, I thought it was harder. Yeah, forget about it. But I'll show you when I run into something that's not wanting to come off. It's easy how to remove with this tool. Getting underneath that there. When you find that right angle, you can get it off pretty easy without tearing into the surface, putting too much effort into this. What I'm trying to go for is a really light touch pressure, here, because too much pressure is overdoing it. It's going to dig. I need this thing to glide, right? And so I'm going to get all that off in a few short strokes. Just get a little exercise when I'm doing this. Pretty good upper body exercise. So that's good for that sticky area, you know. Giving you a lot of fuss. Careful not to go into your corner around you doing it. Couple twists with the blade, gets it right out of that crack. There we go. As good as it gets. All right, rockin', there we go. Like a dream. Again, you just want a little bit of pressure here. Most of the pressure here. You know what I mean? And it'll get that right off of that surface for you. Yeah, it feels good. And things go smooth. If I really wanted to, I could get this glue off with these, I'm sure. But I think it's going to be easier for me just to use a steamer head and then put in my toy anyway, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, all right. So you guys, that's a little bit about how you do that there. So it doesn't look like there is going to be much repair in this, as I figured. So it's going to be still taking a lot more time doing it this way than it would be putting new drywall up on the ceiling. So let me show you guys the blades I got. Here's 4-inch. You get this from Home Depot. Same with this guy. It's 2-inch straight edge, or it could be a 1.5 inch, what have you. This is all you need right here. And this right here is a steamer. I think it's like $7, $2, $3, $20. That's all it took to get this done. For all you who don't know, follow me on YouTube. I'll be posting some more videos like this. I will post a link here shortly along with this video to that YouTube site. And subscribe for me. And then you guys can get posted, keep up, get notifications as I post my videos and stay up to date. But yeah, everything's looking good here. So far, so good. There'll be other things we'll be doing in this room. Well, we'll be saving it for the next video. Until then, be safe. God bless you all. And take care.